definitely a beautiful sight. So as Cole said, my name is Ty, and I help facilitate the trans youth group in Hamilton. I personally identify with the LGBTQ community, so I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm a trans guy. The Trans Youth Group is a youth-led support group created by youth through a series of workshops. The group runs once a month and is always open to anyone that identifies as trans. If anyone is interested in attending, please contact Engine or the Youth Center for further details. Also, we could always benefit from funding. The trans youth experience various challenges in Hamilton. It is not uncommon for trans youth to experience rejection from family and friends after sharing their gender identity. Personally, I lost a friend of 13 years who I considered my sister, and I don't have contact with a lot of my family, but ultimately, transitioning saved my life, and I've met so many supportive people. I started presenting as male after I moved out of my family home, but many youth that I work with have come out while they're still dependent on their parents, and they lose that support. It's very difficult to hear stories about trans youth becoming homeless due to family conflict over their gender identity. It is difficult for trans youth to access adequate health care. Trans youth often experience challenges when attempting to access health care for their physical and/or mental health. Some doctors refuse to provide care. Other doctors might not be knowledgeable about trans health and do not make the effort to educate themselves. And others can create unsupportive and uncomfortable environments. There are few healthcare resources for the trans community in Hamilton. Some people have the means to travel to from Hamilton to Toronto or Niagara. However, the waiting lists are usually over a year long. For many trans youth, school is known as an unsafe and unsupportive environment, as they often experience acts of hate from school officials and peers. It is not uncommon for trans youth to experience harassment and harm while trying to use the washroom or a change room. Also, trans students struggle to join sports teams and attend dances. When these activities are supposed to be positive outlets for youth, trans youth often experience barriers. These are just a few examples of the social barriers a lot of trans youth experience. These are reasons why we need to keep pushing for funding for social services, for changes within the law which would make it illegal to discriminate against trans people. Now I want to take a moment to remember the 49 lives that were tragically taken from our community. When I started to read about the attack in Orlando, I was overwhelmed with emotion. It's devastating that 49 people were targeted and murdered due to their sexuality, gender, and race. It needs to be acknowledged and remembered that the attacker was not only motivated by sexuality and gender, but that the attack was heavily influenced by racism against the Latinx community. It's been hard to process the attack in Orlando. I have definitely been more fearful, which has led me to unpack many aspects of fear. Fear is rooted in the unknown, the other. The LGBT community is largely misunderstood and considered the other. When people are fearful of something, it's easy to fall prey to stereotypes, over-rationalizations, and blatant lies. Using myself as an example, I don't exactly fit the social expectation of being female, which was the gender I was boxed into when I was born. But believe it or not, I wasn't born with this awesome beard. It has grown out of a long process of self-denial, dysphoria, confusion, struggle, and finally, testosterone. In my life, I have been the victim of prejudice and hate. Not conforming to the gender that was prescribed to me at birth by a culture of social categorization has influenced every aspect of my life. Even now that I pass as male, I am often fearful. I'm scared of being refused by healthcare and belittled by healthcare professionals. I'm scared to use the washroom. I'm scared to walk down the street. I'm scared to scroll down to the comment section on the social media pages of my favorite trans role models. I'm scared to read the responses to Bill C-16, a bill meant to protect the trans community from discrimination. I'm scared because I know what I'll find on these online mediums. Pages of transphobic comments made by people who don't know me or my community, but hate me and us. I'm scared to attend Pride events. I'm also scared to stand before you today. One of the first news articles that drew my attention after the Orlando attack was an article that depicted a deranged man calling 911 to declare his allegiance to the Islamic State before killing 49 people who were part of the LGBT community and the Latinx community. Reading this article made me feel sick with worry and anger because I understand how this fear thing works. The article was trying to influence my opinion on people that identify as Muslim. The attacker was the perfect perpetrator because he fits the agenda. He fits the agenda that tells us that Muslims are dangerous, the agenda that fuels Islamophobia. We cannot blame each other. We need to be asking what corporate and political interests benefit from blaming the whole Muslim community in the attack instead of one man's hate. Turning one marginalized community against another is like taking out two birds with one stone. Instead of fearing the oppressor, we begin to fear one another. We begin to fear the very people who stand here beside us, the people who know what it's like to be misunderstood, the people who know the crippling pain of discrimination and hate. To me, this is the scariest part of all. I'm scared because I know we are strong. We are not strong when we are divided. I'm scared because I know that the lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and queer community, the Muslim community, and the Latinx community, that we are all facing the same upward battle. We know what it's like to be the other. Our communities are not the perpetrators. Therefore, our community should not support a culture of intolerance, ignorance, or bigotry. I'm scared because I know that we cannot give into a culture of fear and hate. Yet, in the wake of all this destruction, I find myself standing here before you. I find myself standing here with you in an environment of love, acceptance, empathy, compassion, and resilience. I find myself standing here in solidarity with my community and my allies, supporting one another. My fear is not gone. It still exists beneath my skin. Scared that somebody will find me out. Scared that if they do, that they will hurt me. Yet, I'm denying to let that fear overcome me, to control me. Every day, I deny that fear the capacity to control my thoughts, my interactions, and my happiness. Instead of building walls to isolate myself from the hate, I'm choosing to expose myself to the love that is outpouring from everyone who is gathered today. The love for the community, our friends, our allies, and this family. Together, we are stronger. Together, we are powerful. And together, we will overcome. Thank you very much.